It's Dallas week. That's a fun thing to say.
It is not just Dallas week, but it's a rare year in that both teams are good. It's a national TV game. The hype machine is going to be off the charts. Let's get it started.
Yeah, 5-0 Eagles, 4-1 Cowboys. Surprising 4-1 Cowboys. Somewhat surprising 5-0 Eagles. But you're right. I mean, so many times in this series, and the rivalry is great, but it's been like one team's good or the other team's good. It's kind of rare, to have both teams playing at a high level.
Yeah.
And, even last year, the Eagles played one game that meant something against the Cowboys, and then that the finale didn't matter. So I'm excited for this game.
It didn't matter, but you still don't want to give up 50 points in your own building, no matter who's playing. But yeah, the Cowboys have been a problem for this team for like a decade. The last time the Eagles swept the Cowboys was 2011. 34-7 and 27, the dream team. It was a terrible Dallas team. Eagles haven't beaten the Cowboys when the Cowboys had a winning record since 2016.
Wow.
And they've lost 7 out of 9. They've lost 4 out of 5 at home. And they've lost 13 of the last 20 going back to 2012. So now a couple of those were meaningless games, but I feel like they need to reestablish some dominance against that team. And I think I wrote back in August that these two games, I think the rematch is Christmas Eve, I believe, in Dallas. These two games are going to decide the season, and I think that still might be true. I mean, the Giants are better than I thought, but I still think it's going to come down to Dallas and the Eagles. Sunday night's going to go a long way to determining. I mean, Eagles could go from being the number 1 seed in the NFC to being second place in the division if they don't win this game. So a lot at stake here. It's going to be fun.
It will be fun. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast, by the way, presented by
all the intro?
by Nissan. I let us go for a little while. There. No, that's fine. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. We do have a lot to talk about today. As always, we'll get a little deeper into this rivalry game and why it is such a big deal. Jalen Hurts took a lot of hits on Sunday in Arizona. Is that sustainable? We'll try to figure that out. We probably won't have an answer to that question, but we'll try to figure that out. A.J. Brown not very involved in Arizona. We kind of got an explanation from Nick Sirianni about that, so we'll figure out if that made sense. And then the offensive line depth, golf clap Jeff Stoutland. We want to get into that a little bit because not a lot of teams could be missing 3 starters and still play the way the Eagles did on Sunday. But this game and this rivalry, and I appreciate what Nick Sirianni said about it on Monday that, look, A.J. Brown's not worried about the last 10 years. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got here, a month ago. He's not worried about whatever happened in the past. And I get that. That's the way they should feel about it. Some of these guys have been here, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon Graham's been here for a decade. Jason Kelsey's been here for a decade. Fletcher Cox has been here for a decade. They've been on the losing side of some of these.
A lot of them. And even beyond that, it's not something the team can really worry about. And what happened in 2013 really has no bearing on what's going to happen Sunday night. But from a fan standpoint, look, this is the Eagles' biggest rival, and they have not handled them for the most part for the last decade. And, Andy Reid used to tell the story about when
this little old lady,
it might be apocryphal, but
it's a big word.
Yeah, I don't really know what it means. No, it might be, but he tells a story about how he first got here and he went to a grocery store in South Philly
I think it's changed from a grocery store to a gas station to a Wawa.
Yeah, but the point being, I mean, people tell Andy if you win 2 games, make him the Dallas game. Andy beat the Cowboys more than any coach in NFL history. I mean, he beat most teams more than just because he's coached so long. Been doing it for 23 years now, 24 years, I guess. But I mean, that team, they never lost to the Cowboys. They won. There was a stretch from 2000. I'm just looking here from 2000 to 2004. And that was really the glory days of the Donovan Andy Eagles. They had some success after it, but they were 9-1 over that 5-year period against Dallas. And Dallas was not a very good team there, but for 5 years, they just had their number and it's gone the other way. And really for quite a while, really starting in 2005, they got swept. Dallas has swept the Eagles 4 times since the Eagles last swept the Cowboys. So you add it all up, and Nick Sirianni saying the right thing, and I'm sure the locker room they'll all be saying the same thing.
And look, they buy that too. It is more of a fan thing.
Yeah, but it's a huge fan thing. I mean, a real Eagles fan will tell you they're just as happy when the Cowboys lose as when the Eagles win. And it's just, it's just the nature of the rivalry. And it's a great, what makes it such a great rivalry is because like Washington and the Giants, they're Northeast cities and, they're both kind of, they're nearby. I mean, they're local.
You see yourself in them.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, but I mean, when you see Dallas fans, I mean, how many times we walked into the stadium, they've got their suits on and it's just a different way of life down there. It's a different part of the country. It's a whole different mentality. There's none of the grittiness of Philadelphia. I mean, it's a city of highway ramps and skyscrapers and strip plazas. It's it's just such a different way of life down there, a different kind of city, different part of the country. It's warm down there. It's clean. It's new. Everything in Dallas is new. There's no history in Dallas. There's no, you walk down the street in Philly, there's a church built in 1788. You walk down the street in Dallas, there's a Mexican restaurant built in 2019. I mean, it's everything is so, and I think for me, at least, I think that's what really makes it a really sharp rivalry is just the differences go beyond football into socioeconomic factors and historical factors. They're just completely different types of places. And that's what makes it fun. Did that make sense?
Yeah, I was thinking about Mexican food.
What was that place we went to? What's that place called? Remember we went to that Mexican restaurant?
The chain spot?
No. It started with an A. Anyway.
It was anyway? That was the name of it?
I'm gonna find it. But yeah, we had a great Mexican meal there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's funny, like you said, that they're never good at the same time. In the 80s, Troy Aikman was getting beat up every time the Eagles sacked him 10 times one game. And, and then the 90s, Dallas, they kind of found themselves. They won a couple Super Bowls. They had Emmett and Irvin and Aikman, and they dominated for years. And then Andy got here, and the Eagles dominated for like the next 10 years. And now it's flipped. So,
yeah, I look at this NFC East, and it is crazy to think the Eagles are 5-0. And right below them, you have the Cowboys and Giants at 4-1. I still do not believe the Giants are good. I don't believe it. And at a certain point, I'll have to say they're good because the record eventually is who you are.
Their defense is good.
And they're gritty. I mean, coaching has really helped them out. They have a quarterback who's not good, but he's not turning the football over anymore. And that goes a long way. So maybe they'll stick around for a little while. But if you had to ask me now, I think the Cowboys are the biggest threat to the Eagles in this division.
Maybe in the conference.
Yeah, possibly.
Because you look around the conference and the Giants just beat the Packers.
Mm-hmm. Cowboys just beat the Rams.
Cowboys beat the Rams. Who are the best teams in the conference outside the division?
49ers.
That defense, my goodness. Yeah. D'Amico's got them playing at such a high level. But yeah, I mean, these three teams, if you rank the conference, all three would be in the top 5 right now.
I mean, Minnesota has the only other 4-1 record, and the Eagles beat them.
And
Tampa's still always there.
Yeah, they got quite a break the other day, but yeah, they're still formidable.
Brady just drew another flag. It's Tuesday.
Yeah, but you can make a case that whoever wins Sunday night is early odds on favorite to get that 1 seed.
Yeah, and on Thursday we'll kind of get into the game matchup and we'll really break it down. But I've been impressed by what I've seen of the Cowboys so far.
That pass rush.
I mean, that's where it starts for them on defense. You talk about so it's funny. This last week we saw all these blitzes from Arizona. Cowboys don't need the blitz. They get there with 2 dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, Demarcus Lawrence is playing at such a high. People thought he was done. He's playing at such a high level, and Micah Parsons is.
Yeah, we saw him hobble off the field, and then next thing you know, he's
ends the game,
making a big play. He's so good. My goodness. Yeah. That defense is legit.
Dan Quinn's coaching at a high level, and then on offense, that offensive line that we thought was going to stink, it's holding up.
Yeah, it is. And
without Jason Peters
and Cooper Rush is playing efficient and not making mistakes and doing what he has to do. He's playing complementary football to that defense. And, one big thing about the Giants and the Cowboys, I mean, they both had clowns as coaches for a while, and that held them back.
Yeah.
And they don't. They have good coaches now.
I'm still not on the McCarthy train.
The Giants have a good coach. I want to see.
I'm on the Dan Quinn train.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the Cowboys have good coaches. I don't know if I love their head coach, but I think they have good coaches.
Yeah, I wasn't referring to their head coach, but yeah. But he gets out of the way. I mean, he lets his coordinators coach.
Which matters.
Yeah, it does. And I'm still trying to find the name of that restaurant. But I can't.
We can probably give that up.
I'll give it up.
Yeah.
I can find my expenses from 2019. See if they're in Concur here. Yeah, it's going to be wild down there. I mean, just being in that stadium is going to be so much fun. Pre-game,
it lines up perfectly. I mean, to have a Sunday night football game before the bye week, it's gonna dictate 2 weeks of people's lives here in Philadelphia.
It's amazing
because if they win that game, you're 6-0 going into the bye week. You lose it,
you have 2 weeks to
think about how you lost and how the Cowboys are right there.
Who do the Cowboys play after the Eagles? Do you know offhand? I can look it up here.
Play the Lions at home.
Interesting.
So if they beat the Eagles, there's a real good shot they're 6-1 before the Eagles get to play a game.
But if you look at the Eagles, if they win, then they get the bye, and then they come back with like the Steelers, the Texans, Washington, the Colts.
Yeah.
Then the Packers at home. I think if they win this game, they can see their way to 10-0.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And there's always the possibility of a letdown game. We know
Sure.
that. We know they have to play the games, but yeah. And this is why they don't look at the schedule, right? This is why they're focused on one game at a time.
I think they do look at the schedule. I don't believe that.
Within reason. But sometimes I think the players do a little more than coaches. Some of the coaches do if they're advancing.
Sure.
Some of the lower level coaches are already working on Steelers and Texans, but
yeah.
There's the schedule's a schedule. People always knock teams like, who are they beaten? Well, I mean, people were saying that in 17 too.
Sure.
So it is what it is.
And I mean, they beat a 4-1 Vikings team by 17 last I checked.
That Lions team isn't good, but they have a high-powered offense.
Yeah. That got shut out Sunday.
Well, yeah. Had a high-powered offense.
And you know what? I think one thing we saw Sunday is that they're going to get every team's best.
Mm-hmm.
And Arizona played. I didn't watch the whole game. Did you watch the whole game again? I watched parts of it.
I thought I watched it on Sunday.
Well, I know you watched it.
Yeah. What do you think I was doing?
I know you watched it live. I meant, did you watch it again? But they played really well. Mm-hmm. They actually played better than they have. And Kyler made some big throws. I thought their offensive game plan was really good. They did some really good things, and the Eagles still won the game and didn't do anything well.
But they did some things well.
They kicked the football well.
I just kept – you know how many times I rewatched that closing sequence with Kyler?
How many times?
A lot.
6.
Jalen Hurts would never do that.
Never do that.
Never do that.
That's the first thing
if he did that, Shane Steichen is in his ear telling him the situation. It's just you can't have ineptitude at those two spots.
And he tried to pass it off on, well, my teammates were saying clock, so I clocked it.
You're the leader, dude. Look at the chains.
You're the quarterback. I mean, you got to.
And that poor scoreboard operator in Arizona probably didn't show up to work on Monday.
Well, they didn't have a game, so why would he?
Well, he gets there early.
What do you do on an off day if you're the scoreboard operator?
I don't know. Who operates the scoreboard?
It's a scoreboard operator.
Is that his job?
Yeah.
How do you get that job? You work one day a week. You just push some buttons.
I wonder if it's automated. Like everything else is automated.
I don't know. You know what's cool? Our old colleague JJ Stankovitz.
Yeah.
He works for the Colts now. He's their in-arena announcer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I would love a job like that.
That's a lot of pressure.
It is.
Have 50,000 people listening to every word.
Yeah.
They're all drunk though, so
yeah, they wouldn't know. I think it's harder to be the press box announcer especially when you get everything wrong.
We've had a few of those.
Remember the week after
Eagles are good. Some of the road stadiums are.
The week after the Ertz trade, and it was like Hurts completion to Ertz. Oh, Goedert. Yeah. He's not here anymore. But anyway, what were we talking about? The Cowboys.
Cowboys division.
Arizona. Yeah, we're just kind of
go
rambling.
to Arizona.
I do think we'll learn a lot about the Eagles more than we have the first 5 weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to watch this game.
Yeah, I mean it's what is the line? The line's interesting. Is it still 5.5?
I'll check it. It was it opened at 5.5, right?
Yeah, Cowboys have not allowed more than 19 points this year.
Yeah, it's a good defense.
19, 17, 16, 10, and 10.
And say what you want about Diggs. He's not, he was not an all-pro last year. He had a ton of picks, but he is a playmaker, and picks matter. It's not like, I understand he gave up a lot in coverage, but one big play from him can really change a game. And he's been really good at baiting quarterbacks in the throws. It's 5 on PointsBet right now.
Interesting. I mean, they don't score a lot of points. They don't give up a lot of points. Mm-hmm. They're probably in the bottom 5 or the top 5, bottom 5 in both. And I'm going to look that up right now. But
I have it in front of me. What do you want?
Just their points per game offensively is.
Oh, I just have 24th.
And defensively
3rd.
Yeah. Who are they behind? Was it Buffalo?
I have just their stuff up.
You had Buffalo and why isn't this lining up? It's not anyway. Probably the Niners. But yeah, Buffalo's 1, the Niners are 2. Oh, that's point differential. Points per game. Buffalo, San Francisco, Dallas. The Eagles are 6th. Fun game. Can't wait. You think there's any chance Dak plays?
No.
No chance, right?
I don't think so. I mean, it seems like he's not ready. And they've talked about wanting to get him a full week of practice before he is ready.
What do you make of you hear a lot of Cowboys fans who, I don't care if Dak's ready, stick with Cooper Rush, which is hilarious.
Well, look, I get that he's winning games, but Dak's your quarterback. He's a better player, and the ceiling's higher.
Yeah,
with Dak. Like, the offense right now is winning. Like, they're doing enough, but if you want to have offensive production, and if you're going to be a playoff team, I think you want Dak as your quarterback.
I would agree.
And that's not a knock on Cooper Rush. I think he's done a really nice job. But
yeah.
There's a reason you tied yourself to Dak.
He's better than some starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Regular starting quarterbacks. Yeah. Can't wait.
Let's talk about the Eagles starting quarterback.
Sure.
He took a lot of hits on Sunday. You asked Nick Sirianni about it. What'd you make of his answer, and what do you make of the whole situation?
It was funny. His answer was long, but it didn't really get to the heart of the question. Mm-hmm. And then Tim McManus, our pal Tim, followed up basically with the same question. Mm-hmm. He's like, following up on Reuben, and then just asked the same question. And he got a better answer. And Nick's answer is basically, it's a fine line. I mean, part
of it was, you should see the plays we don't run.
Yeah, that was
really get him killed.
He said they do all they can to, to run plays that don't put him at too much risk. He said Jalen's good about, understanding how not to take hits. I don't really buy that. I mean, I think he is. I think he's smart enough to do it, but he's such a competitor that if you see the sticks here, he's going for him. Whether it's a linebacker and a safety,
in certain situations, right? And I honestly, I think he does a pretty good job of, look, if he's fighting for the end zone, like, I get it, like, that's hard to stop.
Sure,
but there are moments where, like, middle of the field, he'll go down or he'll go out of bounds.
There are moments.
Like, he's not like, we've seen some quarterbacks that are like trying to find contact all the time. I don't get that sense from him. He'll take on the contact. He's not seeking it out.
I think that's fair, but I also think
about like Andrew Luck.
I think they need
seeking it out, right?
Yeah, I think they need to protect him from himself.
Josh Allen at times seeking it out.
Yeah, I do think he does that sometimes. I mean, the number of carries, and I get that.
I don't think he seeks it out. I think he'll take some hits because he's fighting for yards. But if he also, like, if there's nothing to gain from doing it, he doesn't really do it.
Not too much, but just the sheer volume of carries. I did some research this morning. His 68 carries.
He's going to smash the NFL record for a quarterback.
I think it's 179.
Yeah,
I believe.
And obviously, there's an extra game, but
yeah, Lamar. I believe it's 179. Lamar had in 176. Jalen had 139 last year, which is the 5th most ever, and he's on pace for 100 more than that this year. Almost 100 more.
And look, some of them are not high impact plays.
No, he's taking 7 kneels.
And even like the QB sneak, I guess it's a lot of bodies and you're worried about people falling on him, but it's not like he's taking brutal shots necessarily on those.
I guess that's true.
It's mostly like push the pile, fall forward.
It's still scary. You hold your breath every time he does it. And he's so good at it. He's converted 8 straight.
They're incredible at it.
8 straight. It's not just him. Obviously, it's the O-line.
You know what's funny? He doesn't want to take any credit for the QB sneaks. He has a role in that because his legs are powerful.
Yeah.
And he gets some push.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. He's unstoppable. He was stopped on his first career 4th and 1 or 4th and goal. It was against the Saints in his first start. Mm-hmm. He's 8 for 8 since then. He's unstoppable. But and I don't want to take away what makes him such a dangerous player, such a good player. I just think it's too much. And like Kyler Murray is a good runner. He's a different kind of runner, but I think they ran 2 called runs Sunday, and they're both effective. I think
so. What's the solution here? Because QB sneaks, you're probably going to be okay with living with them, right?
Yeah.
Because they're big plays, high leverage situations. Scrambles, how do you really take that away?
Right.
Those need to be in there.
I do think as he grows more and more comfortable in the offense, he will scramble less.
And sometimes even he's scrambling and looking to throw now. You know,
more than he was, sure.
There were times last year where it was, nothing's there, get out.
But there's still times he does that.
There are, and you're never going to completely eradicate that. So I feel like he's on the upswing there in terms of understanding when to buy time and when to take off. So the only other area you can start really eliminating these runs are the design runs, and so many of those are read option plays, which have been pretty effective for this team.
Yeah, no, that's why I say it's a tricky thing, and I understand that, and he's so good at it. You know, he's got 22 rushing first downs this year. Nick Chubb's the only player with more.
Yeah.
I mean, so these are crazy numbers, and I get that. And I get what a weapon he is doing it. But, you know, he's just taking so, and I would probably ramp down the design runs. I think that's probably the smartest way to, to do it. Like 1st and 10, he's running for 5 yards. Would you rather have that or Miles running for 4 yards, or Gainwell? So
and they run him up the gut.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Those are the ones.
If were like sprint outs, you'd be like, well, he has more ability to avoid those hits.
And I think I don't know. I might be way off base here. We're only 5 games in. He's got 68 runs. The most Donovan ever had in a season was 86. Mm-hmm. And we think of him as such a, big time running quarterback.
Well, there's a difference between a quarterback who scrambles and a quarterback who runs.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. And I mean, I don't disagree with anything, but do you know he already has the 2nd most games with 15 carries or more by a quarterback in history? He's played 25 games. I mean, so I just think it's unsustainable. I don't know exactly what the solution is. I think the design runs, I'd like to see those go down. I'd like to see him, as he grows more comfortable in the offense, throw more instead of, but I mean, like you said, these things
comfortable. The problem is comfortable with the offense that they've designed around him.
Right.
It's a big part of it.
It sure is.
What concerns you more, his availability this year or like the cumulative effect of this on his career? Because now we've seen that, yes, he's good and he's going to probably earn a huge contract this offseason. What's it mean for him in 3 years?
I don't want to see him turn into RG3,
Well, Yeah.
And maybe that's an extreme example, although he's pretty good on TV.
I don't think Jalen has that to fall back on.
No, he probably, although you know what? He'd be the kind of guy who doesn't say a word to us for 10 years and it goes on TV. Like Brian Westbrook, he's like incredible in the media. Like he never talked to us, I give him grief about that all the time. But in any case, I worry about both. I think he's already showing some signs of, I don't think he looks quite as fast as he did last year. That might be just I might be totally off base there.
I don't see that.
Yeah, I just worry. I worry about the long term more than anything. Like you said, they're going to invest, $200 whatever it is $1 million in a guy,
and it's kind of why I would think that Lamar contract is at a standstill in a way.
I would think so. Yeah,
there's a reason running backs don't get paid, right? And if your quarterback is the highest paid player, but he plays the game like a running back,
yeah,
there's natural concern. And he's so good. Like I don't want to come off as negative here because it's such an absolute skill, and it's about trying to preserve him because he is so good right now.
And maybe he can be like Lamar. Lamar has shown no sign of it. I mean, he runs as much as Jalen. He's got 49 carries this year, so he's on pace to break his own record too. He's still got fewer than. He's also averaging 7.6 a carry. Jalen's at like 3.9. There's a lot of short. If you're on the one, you can't get more than that. I think Lamar Jackson is the best running quarterback I've ever seen. Vic is probably second. Randall's probably third. But Carson Strong, I'd probably put fourth or fifth.
I wonder which. I knew you were going to give me some random name.
Maybe. I mean, Lamar Jackson is also he's 6'2", 215. Well, Jalen's pretty solid. Maybe he can handle it. Maybe I'm totally off base, but my gut feeling is it's too much.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I think if we're talking about who can handle big hits better, it's Jalen Hurts over Lamar.
I mean, certainly he's as tough as any quarterback I've ever seen.
And he's built.
He's solid. It's just a lot of hits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a natural fear. And there are moments where he gets hit, and like we're not the only ones holding our breath. I mean, the coaching staff is on the sideline, like wide-eyed, just like get up. All right, he gets up good.
And we're holding our breath, and the officials are holding their flags.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, we haven't seen him in a few weeks. I thought against Jacksonville, there were some moments, and even the game before that in Washington,
the Washington game, there were a few.
There were some that were close, and they didn't get called. And it's tricky because he plays the game differently. You're still supposed to get protection as a quarterback when you're a quarterback, but on some of the slides, he does start the process a tad late. And I think some of those were right on the line. I thought some of them were penalties, weren't called. It's tricky because you can't just ask a player to stop a tackle when they're in the process of doing it. So there has to be a clear slide initiated before you can call that. So that's tricky. And then on some of those read option plays, you're going to get that. I mean, you're forcing the defense to guess, and there are going to be times where they're going to take a shot on the quarterback because that makes sense.
I think all you ask for is that a running quarterback has the same protections as a pocket quarterback.
Yeah, and that's not an illegal play to hit a quarterback on a read option like that.
Right. But they don't. Running quarterbacks don't get the same protection. And that's just, I don't know, it's the way the rules are interpreted. I mean, Michael Vick would just get, I mean, the angriest I ever saw Andy Reid was when that game Michael Vick got like just obliterated 3 times with late hits, and none of them were called. And, he was furious about it, and you never see that. And I see a lot of the same things with Jalen. And I guess that's kind of built into my concern is if the league and the officials don't call those, it's not, people are going to keep doing it.
Yeah. And that's where you have to get a little showy if you're Nick Sirianni, and he does this pretty well at times. You make a stink in hopes that you'll get that call later.
Yeah. He has gotten better at that. Knows how to work the refs.
Yeah. It's an important part of the job. It shouldn't have to be, but it is. And we've seen like the roughing the passers in the league. It's a big topic right now for obvious reasons. Let's talk about. I mean, it has nothing to do with this, but that Brady hit was. I mean, as soft as it gets.
Yeah. And I thought the one last night in the Chiefs game was, I mean,
that's teach tape.
Yeah.
Chris Jones got the football out, braced his fall with his left hand, so his whole body weight didn't land on him. It did not. He had his left forearm out there and the football.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would seem to me that if there's a loose ball, all bets are off. I mean, if the ball's loose, it's a fumble. You have every right to go for the fumble, which is what he was doing. He's trying to get the football.
It was those Kansas City fans were great.
Yeah.
They were booing so much. Their backup kicker comes in, nails a 59-yarder, they cheer, and then go right back to booing the refs. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was at the end of the first half, right? Yeah.
It was hilarious. It was like we'll cheer for that kick, but we haven't forgotten.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that was really cool. And because they were running off the field, the refs were. And then the Chiefs started getting a bunch of calls at the end.
Yeah.
Probably too many makeup calls. And they were just like over cheering everyone. It was a fun game. It was a fun back and forth. I think I'm not sure what the heck going for 2 was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I think both teams going for 2 didn't make a whole lot of sense, but
no, I got the Chiefs doing it.
But and then how about that last play? We're way off topic, but how do you have OTAs and training camp and film study and practice and walkthroughs and do all this stuff, and then the biggest play of the game in a huge division game, you have 2 receivers run into each other.
Yeah, it looked like he got jammed on the line, and it just threw off their timing.
Yeah, and Carr just chucks it down the field. That's your first. Yeah, Josh Jacobs running for 11 yards a carry the second half. It's 4th and 1. Still 47 seconds left, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So you had time you're down 1. All you need is a field goal. I don't understand play calling. I just don't get it.
I did love their call earlier in the game on 4th and 1, where they dialed up the shot.
Oh yeah,
to Devontae Adams for the touchdown. The Chiefs are so dynamic. Patrick Mahomes is so dynamic offensively that you got to change the way you play against him.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's fun to watch, man. He's just. How about the Andy Reid commercial? How great is that?
It's good.
State Farm commercial. My goodness. Hey, you deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today. And our producer, Ben, put up something from the ref saying the fact that Jones took the ball away is irrelevant. Quarterbacks get full protection of all aspects of what gives a quarterback in a passing posture. I guess that's the rule, but I think it doesn't make sense. If there's a loose ball, you should be able to go for the loose ball.
Yeah. Ben clarifies that is not him. That is the referee.
That's Ben Berry's interpretation from the league officiating office.
I want to talk about A.J. Brown a little bit.
Yeah.
Weird game for him on Sunday. Eagles wins, move to 5-0. I guess it doesn't matter too much in hindsight, but he ends up getting targeted 7 times, has 3 catches for 32 yards. All of them came on the first drive of the game, a drive that he did not start because they were in 13 personnel.
Yeah.
Doesn't catch a ball the rest of the way.
Yeah, and a couple of things, and I thought it was just, I said this, I think, after the game. I thought it was a bad game by Shane Steichen all around until that last drive. It seemed like they really wanted to try to force feed Quez. It seemed like this was the game where, all right, we want to get Quez involved.
Devontae. They really force-fed Devontae.
Yeah, but, nothing against Quez. Quez is a fine third receiver, but you can't – I don't think you can run the offense that way. And why not try to force feed the ball to A.J. Brown and Devontae? And if Quez is open, you throw him the football. But and again, 13 personnel, A.J. Brown, that's 3 tight ends and a back, and A.J. comes off the field. Devontae's he's the run blocking specialist.
Which is funny, but they clearly trust him more in those situations.
He's good at it.
He's good at it.
Although
I would like to tell him to sometimes stop taking some of those big hits. He's looking for contact sometimes.
He is.
Yeah.
He is the most physical, skinny dude I've ever seen.
170 pounds.
170
He's out there
soaking wet,
putting his head down.
He really does. Yeah, you worry about him too, but he takes a lot of pride in that aspect of his game.
I think it's because his whole life has been, the skinny kid.
Yeah.
Got something to prove every snap.
And he said that's something he wanted to work on this offseason. He sure has. He's not just a finesse guy, but yeah, again, he's another guy you worry about. But yeah, that can't happen where AJ Brown just isn't involved. Yeah. He's too much of a weapon. He's their best offensive player. I don't know. I mean, him or Jalen, or Lane yeah. or Kelsey or Bellotta or not. But he's so good and he's such a weapon, and you can't let that happen. You just can't let it happen.
Yeah. And so Nick Sirianni was asked about that on Monday, and he basically said, like, we had stuff designed for him. There was one batted ball that was going his way, and he kind of said it was similar to the opener when Devontae didn't get the ball. And I wish I could have followed up. We do these video conferences on Monday, so I couldn't follow up with him. But my question would have been, yeah, but in a game where you're running all these screens or plays that look like screens because you have hots for blitzes, and that's what Jalen chose to take, why not? Those are just forced touches anyway. Why not force them to their 225-pound receiver who's great after the catch?
Yeah. He had one target in the second half.
Yeah. And there were some limited opportunities. I get it. They only had 3 drives in the second half, and one of them was
run the ball.
Yeah.
But that leaves 2 other drives.
Yeah.
And the rest of this, and in the second quarter, really. Yeah, I get that there's going to be, like, when Devontae didn't have any catches in the opener, it was like, well, there's going to be games where AJ, but this was different. This wasn't like they took him out of the game. It wasn't like Arizona has these.
Arizona don't have anything to take him out.
No, they don't have. I mean, their corners played better than I anticipated. Mm-hmm. They were okay, but they didn't take him out of the game. Shane Steichen and Nick took him out of the game, I thought.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you.
Yeah.
Wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Can't happen. I mean, I like in that first game, it wasn't a problem to me because AJ was going off.
Right.
Like it was just, you'd be dumb not to keep feeding him. You didn't have that feeling from Devontae in this game. And he had a good game. It was 10 for 87, but a lot of his catches were just dump offs. Whereas like AJ in week 1 was winning, and yeah, you feed him because he's winning and you keep doing it. This game didn't feel like that.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, it's good to see that Goedert is now a guy that's going to get, 8 to 10 targets.
He's so good, man.
Do you know every game he's played this year, he's had one more target than catch. He's got 26 catches and 31 targets. His yards per target is
crazy.
It's insane. It's number 2 in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like every Monday morning, you get on Stathead like 5:30 in the morning. Like as soon as they update everything, I'm like, what's his yards per target in relation to like Gabriel Davis is like the only guy ahead of him. He's like out there catching 70-yard touchdowns. He is. I mean, you saw Kelsey last night, 4 touchdowns. It's going to be hard for Goedert to be the best tight end in the league, although he's more of a blocker than Kelsey.
Yeah.
He is a blocker.
Yeah.
The guy in Baltimore is really good. He catches a ton of passes, but he's, Goedert could be close to being the best all-around tight end there is.
I mean, we were talking about their best player on offense. Might be Dallas Goedert.
Might be.
He's playing so well right now in every aspect of his game.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch a complete tight end.
Yeah, you're right. And
no shade at anyone.
Yes, there was.
I don't want it to be.
I mean, Selleck was a really, really good. He was really good at both. I mean, he had 985 yards one year, and he was a really good blocker. But I mean, Goedert is he's elite. That 60.
Goedert has the explosiveness that Selleck didn't have. Obviously.
Right. Well, yeah, Selleck was pretty good. He was pretty good,
but he's not 15 yards a catch good.
No, but he did have a year where he was 14 and had like 50 catches. He had a really high. He's got one of the higher yards per catch of tight ends in the last period of time. But that 16-yarder, we touched on it after the game. But you watch it again, and I don't know how many tight ends. I mean, Gardeck, had him not wrapped, but he was right there. Goedert just he's like, get away from. He's like a gnat. Get away from.
You can tell how much Jalen trusts him.
Yeah,
and he should trust.
Yeah. His offense is loaded, but still, you'd like to see AJ Brown get more than.
It's nitpicky, but because they won the game, but
it's not though, because they need him. I mean, they need him to be the team that they want to be.
Mm-hmm. O-line depth.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about this because how many teams could lose their center, their left guard, their left tackle, and be out there and still be functional and good? I mean, they were above functional. They were still a good offensive line.
Yeah.
And Kelsey only missed 3 snaps.
Right.
But I feel like even if he missed more, they still would have been functional.
Yeah, we talk about Stout a lot, but the players all talk about, they marvel about how he looks at every player, whether it's a practice squad guy, a guy in training camp who is not going to make the team. He gets every one of them prepared to play. And it's really an amazing thing. He's got such a high standard. They all respect him. They all do what he says, and they see themselves getting better. And Kelsey talked about Stout the other day at length, and I would did I end up writing that? I don't remember. I think I did. I would go back and find that video or read the story, better yet, get me a page view. And I mean, just listen to him talk about Jeff Stoutland. It's incredible, just the reverence he has for Stoutland.
Remember when we thought Stout was leaving?
Yeah.
Nick gets hired. There's a report out there he's going back to Alabama.
Yeah, that's right.
And his players saw it. His players were like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Everyone was freaking out.
Yeah. Rare to have a guy who's here for three coaches. Mm-hmm. Maybe the best thing Chip Kelly ever did for this team. There's a few things. Lane was probably Howie.
Lane was Howie.
2013 was Howie, but
Stout.
Some pretty good.
Lasting legacy for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's like when a guy gets hurt, you're like, oh crap, that sucks. But then you're like, somebody good's going to be coming in. And Driscoll, I just can't say enough about Driscoll because, I mean, he's at the point now where, I mean, I think he could be a good starter at any number of positions. Like I think at right tackle, he could be a really good, mm-hmm. But he's so valuable because he can do anything. And what he did to go in that left tackle, the last 2 games and play the way he did it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, he hadn't played left tackle since 2016.
Yeah. Yeah. Now
at UMass.
Yeah, 2 colleges ago.
He's going back and watching Old Dominion tape,
Yeah, so hopefully Mulata's back, though, on Sunday.
Yeah.
That said.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not, and we'll talk about this later in the week, then you really have to start changing up your offense to give Driscoll some help. A lot of help.
Yeah. But
help on every play.
I think Jordan he'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he was – they obviously downgraded him to out. It was pretty clear he wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was doubtful at the beginning gives you a little bit of like a glimmer of hope there.
It was a surprising designation to see, but
he's got to have the strength back.
Yeah.
Range of motion and strength back in his shoulder, right shoulder.
Yeah. And we'll have a better sense.
Inside shoulder.
Have a better sense Wednesday.
Yeah.
See where he is. If he's limited, even if he's just out there a little bit, then you feel pretty good.
And then even like Sewell was probably the weak spot
yeah.
when he was in there. And give credit to Landon Dickerson too. Tried to power through his injury. He wasn't right, but he tried to power through.
Yeah.
And like Kelsey powers through, and you're like, well, of course Kelsey did it. But credit to Lando, because this is the first time we've really gotten a chance to see him do it.
Lando?
Yeah. I just came up with
Where did that come from?
You like that?
Isn't that a Star Trek episode? The Will of Lando. That was
You're a big Trekkie?
I wouldn't call myself a Trekkie, but I've got the trouble with tribbles memorized.
No idea what
entire dialogue. The Will of Landro. That's what it was. It is the will of Landro.
What do you think the Venn diagram is? Eagle Eye listeners, Star Trek fans.
Pretty high.
Yeah,
probably say about
it's just a circle.
Yeah, I think they're all
a circle.
Yeah, I think a lot of people sit around in Klingon costumes and watch the podcast.
Yeah, that's probably right. But then if one of those guys is back, then your depth is so much better because Driscoll then is probably your top guard backup. So
right.
You're in a much better spot. And I wonder where they are with Cam Jurgens at guard. He's been cross training.
Yeah.
It's stuff that we don't get to see because now practice is closed. I'm just curious how his progression is.
And he only played a few snaps, but he kind of just went in, took ownership, and
3 snaps.
It was 3 snaps, but still, I don't know. This is the first time he's played.
Yeah. I wonder if, because earlier in the game, Kelsey had to go get checked for the concussion.
Yeah.
Cam's on the field. He's ready to play. And Kelsey comes running back out before he ever got to play a snap.
Right. But, I mean, it's good. It's just good to get that under his belt. And, he didn't mess up on those snaps. And, they were shotgun snaps. And, yeah. So
Kelsey will start 128, most likely.
Yeah. The Iron Man thing on Jesus is down.
Oh, no.
It's down for construction, and it's killing me. See if it's back up yet. But, yeah, that's
4th longest streak in Eagles history.
Yeah.
For any position.
Iron Man, look at this.
Oh, no.
Iron Man
under construction
is currently under construction. So
the Iron Man is not an Iron Man?
That's right. Its streak of days being available is over. I think you should have ended the pod on the Klingon stuff, but this is probably a good time.
Always take notes. Yeah, we'll do that now. If you enjoy the podcast, even if you don't, feel free to give us a high rating. Rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. We appreciate all the love. That's it. We'll talk to you later in the week. We'll really break down the Cowboys game. For Reuben, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan.